city of Windhoek sits under a sky that always seems to have secrets. Its streets are tidy, almost too tidy, as if the desert winds themselves know to sweep the dirt under the rug. But beneath the polished surface of this city lies a story of greed, so quiet, so meticulously orchestrated, that it went undetected for nearly a decade. Her name is Marlien Conradie. To her neighbours, she was the perfect picture of middle-class grace, a woman in her mid-30s, with a soft smile and an air of competence. But when the truth broke, it sent shockwaves across Namibia. She had been accused of siphoning more than 41 million Namibian dollars from her employer over a period of 9 years. It all came crashing down last week, when a final order of sequestration placed every part of her life under the control of the law. The High Court of Windhoek ruled against her, following a relentless application by her former employer, Western Investments Namibia. According to them, Conradie had stolen more than 21 million Namibian dollars from the company alone. That was just one piece of a far bigger, darker puzzle. The story begins, at least officially, in January 2016. Marlien Conradie, then a trusted financial manager, was placed in charge of the company's money flow. Numbers were her weapon and spreadsheets her canvas. She was the gatekeeper of millions. But while she smiled through board meetings and balanced accounts with mechanical precision, something far more sinister was brewing. By the time the truth began to unravel in May of this year, Abraham Collard, the company's chief financial officer, had already seen enough to chill his blood. His sworn statement to the High Court is not the kind of thing you skim through lightly. Each line reads like a horror story for accountants, a quiet, methodical bleed of millions from the company's veins, cleverly hidden in the shadows of transactions that no one ever questioned. Until the auditors came knocking, the first crack in her wall of deception appeared during an ordinary audit. 2 payments made by Voodoo Logistics and Investment Services in January raised suspicions. They were meant for a transport company, but landed in a bank account belonging to Conradie herself. The auditors, sharp-eyed and relentless, tugged at this single thread, and what they found unraveled an empire of lies. It began like a whisper, an uneasy hum that something was wrong. In a quiet office in Windhoek, under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights, the auditors of Western Investments Namibia were combing through transaction histories, eyes glassy from numbers and long hours. Then it happened. One auditor spotted the first anomaly. A payment from Voodoo Logistics and Investment Services that was supposed to land in the account of a reputable transport company had found its way into a personal account. The name on the account stopped everyone cold. Marlien Conradie. The room fell silent. Numbers, after all, are not just ink on a page. They speak. They reveal. And these numbers screamed betrayal. Abraham Collard, the chief financial officer, leaned over the table, heart pounding, as the pieces began to align. The payment was not just misdirected, it had been carefully engineered. When they cross-checked vendor details, they realized Conradie had swapped out legitimate supplier account numbers for her own, like a thief moving silently in the dark, leaving no footprints. This scene is not unique to Namibia. Auditors worldwide have caught fraudsters in this exact way. In Kenya, a high-profile case in 2022 revealed that a female procurement officer at a Nairobi-based state agency had funneled millions into personal accounts by tampering with payment systems. In South Africa, the case of Dudu Mayini, the former chairperson of South African Airways, came under heavy scrutiny for irregular payments and financial mismanagement. In 2018, Ghana witnessed the arrest of a female accountant at a public sector institution for siphoning more than 3 million Ghanaian cedis by creating fake supplier invoices. These stories echo the same truth. Audits are often where the ghosts of fraud rise to the surface. No matter how sophisticated the scheme, all it takes is one mismatched payment, one late-night discovery for the entire facade to collapse. In Conradie's case, the horror wasn't just in the act of stealing, It was in the realization that this had been happening for nearly 9 years, right under the noses of people who trusted her. Each ledger entry, each forged payment instruction, was a knife to the back of those who believed she was protecting the company's financial future. By the 2nd of May, the puzzle was starting to take shape. Another payment, this time from Onguma Safari Camps, had also been misdirected into her personal account. It was no longer an accounting error, it was a pattern. A meeting was called. Conradie, then on maternity leave, walked into the room on the 7th of May, wearing what Collard later described as the mask of guilt. She confessed, though her confession was only a fraction of the truth. She admitted to taking around 15 million Namibian dollars. But the investigators knew better. They dug deeper, combing through records that spanned years, and soon the real figure emerged like a monster from the deep, 41.3 million Namibian dollars. The numbers read like a timeline of betrayal. From March 2018 to February 2019, 3.1 million Namibian dollars vanished into her accounts. The next year, 3.6 million more. From March 2020 to February 2021, the figure climbed to 3.9 million, then 6.2 million, then 5.1 million, and in the years that followed, the theft only grew bolder. 7.5 million Namibian dollars in both 2023 and 2024. It was a river of money, flowing from the company's accounts into her own. Her method was disarmingly simple. She substituted vendor account details with her own. It was the kind of scheme so brazen it almost seemed invisible. Who would suspect the woman responsible for keeping the books? But the truth is always hungry, and when it finds you, it eats everything. The investigation revealed that Conradie had not saved the money. There were no secret investments, no clever stock portfolios, no offshore nest egg waiting to be uncovered. Every cent of the stolen fortune had evaporated into a life of luxury so grotesque, it was almost theatrical. The court records read like the shopping list of someone drunk on power and greed. Nearly 373,000 Namibian dollars spent at Harrods in London, where the wealthy treat price tags as decorations rather than warnings. At Jimmy Choo, 200,000 Namibian dollars dissolved into designer heels and handbags, the kind of accessories that sparkle under the spotlight but rot in the dark corners of morality. Louis Vuitton claimed almost 200,000 more, while Dolce & Gabbana devoured another 47,800. Even Lacoste, with its famous crocodile emblem, pocketed 44,800 of the stolen funds. This was not spending. This was gluttony. Conradie was not merely living well, she was parading her wealth in plain sight, as if the glitter of imported leather and gold hardware would blind the world to her crimes. For years, colleagues probably admired her handbags, her shoes, her sudden transformation from an average financial manager into a woman who dressed like she had stepped out of a glossy fashion magazine. Perhaps they assumed she had family money. Perhaps no one dared to ask. But in a country like Namibia, where many workers survive on wages barely enough to cover school fees or basic groceries, such extravagant consumption is a form of violence. Each pair of Jimmy Choos she bought could have fed a struggling family for months. The total of her Harrods splurge alone could have covered school uniforms for hundreds of rural children who walk barefoot to class. This kind of conspicuous consumption is not uncommon in fraud cases. Internationally, female fraudsters have been unmasked by their own need to flaunt their ill-gotten wealth. In Nigeria, a former bank manager, Philomena Keisha, became infamous after her fraud case involved a bizarre claim that missing funds were eaten by a snake. But the truth was revealed through her lavish lifestyle. Across Africa and beyond, the temptation to show off often leaves a trail for investigators to follow. Conradie was no different. Every luxury bag, every designer receipt, was another breadcrumb leading straight to her downfall. Her bank statements tell the story of a woman who lived like money would never run out. Like the accounts she plundered were her personal treasure chests, but greed has a habit of burning too brightly. It always leaves ashes. Her assets are worth only about $4.5 million Namibian dollars. After her outstanding mortgage is factored in, that figure shrinks to 2.2 million. The rest? It is smoke. It is the sound of champagne glasses clinking at expensive dinners, the flash of designer handbags, and the quiet hum of self-destruction. Collard, in his statement, noted that various sums had been transferred to other people's accounts. Where that money went is a mystery for the trustee now assigned to her estate. Perhaps they will claw back some of the fortune, perhaps not. Money like that, once it slips into the shadows, rarely comes back whole. What is clear is that Conradie did not fight her sequestration. She did not stand in court to argue her innocence. Maybe she knew there was no point. Maybe the weight of 41 million Namibian dollars was too heavy to carry any longer. In the end, the story of Marlien Conradie is not just a story of theft. It is a story of trust betrayed, of a company bled dry under the watchful eyes of someone they believed was their ally. It is a cautionary tale for every business, every investor, every colleague who thinks evil always comes with a warning sign. Sometimes it comes with a warm smile and tidy spreadsheets. Windhoek will remember her name. For years, people will whisper about the woman who walked away with 41 million Namibian dollars and ended up with nothing but ashes and broken trust.
And that's where we leave the chilling story of Marlien Conradie, the financial manager who turned 41 million Namibian dollars into a trail of luxury and ruin. What do you think? Will she face prison time, or will this just be another headline that fades into the wind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Namibia's most shocking fraud cases, hit that like button. It helps this channel cover more stories like this. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next true crime investigation. Thanks for watching, and remember, every financial number tells a story, some darker than we can imagine. I'll see you in the next one.